Let's unscrew communism and pile up our ruins into a form of art. Let's isolate individual parts and consider their worth once and for all, keeping the ones that might fit in a structural sculpture. What is reconciliation? I ask you. Does it derive from re-evaluation? But how would you re-evaluate, and how would you re-evaluate if you had to? Let me share how I have always re-evaluated. I use compartmentalization and stacking my issues in the most spatial manner. However, my artistry manipulates those structures into unseen formations which remind me about myself and the great artist that I am. So I end up keeping my stack of issues. After all, I created them, and I'm not ashamed to say they keep me busy. I should say I am an organizer of sorts. I create imagery of thoughts, happy, sad, anxious, scared, vulnerable feelings, and then I sit in front of my imagery and write while drinking a cup of coffee. Don't take me wrong, I am not a masochist. I too learn from my mistakes, but I also need them to be a backdrop for me as an imagery. What are we without our spare backdrops that we all keep changing for others' focal perspectives? And are they not all made up of our stack of issues, which we thought we might re-evaluate? It's like our world comprises of backdrops, stretches around personal parameters, which serve as a camouflage in which we hide. I believe we all use these camouflages and challenge our people to find our outline within our imagery. Residential school system, now sometimes the imagery becomes so distinct that its outline, then it loses the camouflage. The same camouflage which was supposed to hide now defines the one creating it. If I was that person, I would have crumbled the backdrop and thrown it into the bin like a writer struggling from a writer's block. There are crumbled papers and notes in my bin as well. I have tied rubber bands around them because of the noise it makes. Whenever the pages unfold and make that noise, the noise that voices my mistakes from my bin. But then again, I am not a very good writer. However, I want to learn the art of forgiveness. Reconciliation and forgiveness are two concepts I constantly juggle with, and I literally mean juggle when I say juggle. One has to be selfish while taking the route to reconciliation and carry self-assurance as well. If you ask me, forgiveness is self-assurance, which is a selfish act, ironically, because of the individuality around it. And why is it so hard to forgive? Or to be precise, what are the kind of people who forgive? Forgiveness can sometimes be as tricky as a dominoes game. In order to prevent friction from the surrounding, I always stacked my dominoes block vertically and felt it might never fall if it's high enough for my people to see, like a totem pole. However, the game became much more interesting when I realized that my friends mistook the height of blocks for territorial demarcation, and I never forgave them for bringing my blocks down. Thorough paperwork might be a good start towards reconciliation. Let's place it all in front, analyze it, arrange it, rearrange it, and understand it. What I don't like about my writing is its blunt response. It's so empty and disinteresting. The only response it can give you happens to be your own response that you write yourself. It feels like an apology that you knew you always had. However, placing all the papers in front of you does give you confidence because now it's tangible. You can hold it. There's still some blanks in the camouflage though, and it will always have those blanks. After all, they can never be a defined collage within a camouflage. Camouflage is meant to confuse while collage is meant to define, but it's very interesting to see when a collage expresses its form as a camouflage of shapes and colors, thus making the bigger picture. I saw a large triangle on the bottom of a small one connected by their tips in some of the collages. It looked like a black teepee. How I ended up having these images astonishes me. I am neither white or Aboriginal, but because this is my camouflage and maybe I am the part of the bigger picture. I wrote and read and saw and told, but how do you really forgive? How do you really forget? How do you do reconciliation?